Michael, a disappointing result, 2 goals that you probably feel that could have been avoided. But you said you were going to review the game. Did anything come up that might help for tomorrow?
Yeah, look, we reviewed the game in depth yesterday and this morning, went through it with the players this morning. I think we recognise where, we struggled a little bit with our build-up in the first half, which is partly down to the decisions that we made and partly down to the opposition. Their pressure was good, so we went through a little bit of that on the pitch today as well. But the most disappointing thing was we had the game in the palm of our hand. We were 1-0 up. We had a lot of control. We were moving the ball very well. They were really struggling, I think, to have any impact in the game, and obviously made substitutions to try and address that. And then we lost 2 quick goals, which were at a time which was pretty much quite against the run of play. I felt that we were certainly the dominant team at that point in time and had been since half time. So look, we have to learn from it. I think it shows that the importance of obviously getting the second goal. It shows a little bit the importance of, when you do have possession, that you don't get a little bit complacent. I think that we kept possession at times we needed to play with a little bit more purpose to get the second goal. That was really the intention when we changed, we went 2 strikers, but that just coincided exactly at the same time as they scored the first goal. So it was a disappointing result, and one that obviously when we had that opportunity that we had, particularly second half, that we shouldn't have allowed to happen really.
Bournemouth are obviously unbeaten, and they'll be the benchmark now for you to play again. In a way, it's great that you haven't got time to dwell on the defeat and everybody be up for the challenge, but you really need to turn the dominance that you had, as you said, in the second half against Sheffield. You need to turn that into goals, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Look, and I think if there's anything that that is a key area that we do feel that we need to improve on. Sometimes in this league, you only have to play well for periods and games to win them, but we've played well, I think, in most of our games, to be honest. First half, I thought, as I said, we were disappointed with our display in the first half, but certainly the period of domination we had in the second half was enough for us to win the game. Had we possibly been a little bit more clinical, created a bit more with the possession that we had as well, I think. And that's something that, we have to continue to work on, and people talk about systems of play and different things like that, but mainly it's about choices made in the final third of the pitch. That we were in a lot of good areas on Saturday, and at times made the wrong choice or didn't have enough bodies in the box, for example. But equally at 1-0, we had a real chance, I think, to score again and finish the game off.
With the creative players you've got in midfield, 3 stick out: Sawyers, Branchich and Powell. How hard is it for you to get the balance right? Because sometimes you need that destructive central defensive midfielder to stop the other team attacking.
Well, it is. It's always difficult, to get the balance right. And we probably don't have that defensive minded midfield player. Like, we've played Joe as the deepest one at times. Other times we played Joe and Remain, as we did Saturday. We've played Joe and Jordan Thompson, or Remain and Jordan Thompson. So we have various combinations in there. I don't think we have that sort of holding midfield player that just breaks up play, and that's a big part of their game. We've looked to be more of looking for a midfield player that helps us build a game as well. That's been a big part of what we've looked for, as opposed to just being destructive. So we have to compensate for that in terms of maybe the shape that we play in midfield, but equally, more often than not, you compensate by retaining possession in key areas. And look, we didn't. The goals that we lost weren't so much down to that. I think they were down to poor decisions that we made in the back three, really, to be honest. And the second goal comes, we're a man down, and it left us a little bit short in midfield. And but ultimately, we still should have dealt with the cross, and we should have tracked runners better. All the basics, really. But look, we compensate for that with the squad that we have, and we're happy with the midfield options that we have.
You commented on how Leggy players looked in the match. Does that concern you, given that you'd had virtually, I won't say 2 weeks off, you'd had a week where you'd not done as much training? Is that, you think, because the players are young, or what?
Well, that's obviously an observation that I make and have to, after the game, obviously articulate that. But the reality was the distance we covered was the highest we covered all season. It was 110 kilometers for the whole team, or just over it. So it's on a par with any game that we've had this season. There's only, I think, been one possibly at that level. The other thing that we look highly at is the high-speed running. Our high-speed running wasn't as high as we would probably expect it to be given that distance. Sometimes the game determines that and the nature of the game, whether you have possession or don't have possession. So yeah, maybe that was an observation I felt at the time. When I watched the game back, I didn't feel that was particularly. I think it was more in our decision making. We had the options to press the opposition at key moments, and we didn't take that, and we dropped off a little bit. I don't think that was a physical thing. I think that was just maybe mental in terms of the decisions we made at that minute in time. And the players, the only players who really would have a reason to feel a little bit leggy were the players on international duty, and that was only Harry and Joe that were away. So we were conscious of that when we picked the team that we started with. So yeah, that was probably an observation which was incorrect, if I'm honest.
Well, do you think that clubs are now finding ways of neutralising the wing-backs, and because of that, you've obviously got to think quickly on your feet when you're out there and change the system?
I think we've worked very hard to develop a system and identity and a style of play, and I think that it's difficult to change it. For example, Josh Tymon looks more comfortable playing as a wing back than he would at left back. For example, Morgan Fox is injured. We have good options at centre back. I think Tommy Smith looks more comfortable playing as a wing back than a full back. So these are all factors that drive the system that you have, and the players in the building that you have are a big part of the system that we play. We can do variations of it in terms of whether we play 3-4-3 or whether we play as we have done like 3-4-2-1, 3-4-1-2. There's very different options in that, but I think we got to believe in what we're doing. If we have a disappointing result, we can't always attribute that to we must change the system or we must make changes off the back of that. I think that's where you get real confusion, and the players, one thing you have to continue with them is consistency and clarity. I believe will help us, and so whatever teams are doing against us, we just got to find solutions to overcome that. And as I say, we constantly look at that with the squad and with the players that we have.
Well, because of the quick turnaround tomorrow, maybe you'll be thinking of freshening the team up. And I'm sure Sam Surridge will be reminding you that he used to play for Bournemouth and he'd quite like to get a game.
I'm sure he would, yeah. That's, as I say, he's had to be patient since obviously we're playing with one striker really at the moment, in Jacob and 2 10s and Mario and Nick the last couple of games. So, and I think Jacob's, demonstrated a lot of really good qualities. He gives us fantastic energy at the top end of the pitch, and certainly the other strikers would have to demonstrate that if they come into the game or are given the opportunity. So they all have different qualities. So like any player, you want to play against your old club. So I'm sure Sam will be keen to prove himself if he's given the opportunity.
You talk about Jacob Brown and his determination and his running and his pressing we talk about it quite often, but his determination to score paid off. He scored a really good goal, and it's quite clear that the coaching's probably helped him to try and improve his finishing. You must be very pleased with him.
Yeah, look, when we signed Jacob, we knew what his natural attributes were, which is, he's got fantastic running power. He's a strong boy. He's quick. And there's an honesty to his play, which I think everyone on the team responds to as well. But if you look at the game on Saturday as an example, he had a header off the line from the corner. The goalkeeper makes a very good save from him, and obviously he scores the goal. I think where Jacob probably needs to work a little bit is, on those goals in and around the 6-yard box. He's not like a striker. I would say that Sam Surridge is much more of a box type striker, and Stephen Fletcher would come into that category as opposed to Jacob. But equally, Jacob brings other attributes as well. So it's just a combination of what players bring really, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I think he's a player that's going to continue to develop. I know, having spoke to, other opposition managers, that opposition defenders have found him very difficult to play against because he never gives them a minute. And it's very important, a big part of the game now is how you press the opposition and stop them playing. So, strikers need to be able to have that part in their game as well. It's not enough now to be an attacking player and only come to life when your team has the ball. A big part of your role is when the opposition have the ball, and how you stop the opposition starting the game, particularly with a lot of teams now trying to build the game from the back. So, yeah, look, there's areas where all the strikers are going to have to improve.
There's going to be nobody more disappointed than you and the players after the results, and now you've got really a tough game, and then another tough game on Saturday. I know we say all the games are tough, but this is a particularly tough week, and everybody's got to keep level-headed, and if things go really badly, it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, and look, we try and keep everything in perspective. Like if we had won on Saturday, it wouldn't mean we're going to be promoted. Equally, if we lose, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be in the race. I think that we saw Fulham, for example, after they beat us, and people said, well, like everyone Fulham will, definitely be in the automatic promotion places. They subsequently dropped points. I think Blackpool and Coventry after that. It's just the nature of the league that we're in. And I think, because we play so often, that performances are always going to be a little bit inconsistent. So yeah, look, we have a tough week ahead of us, but the important thing is that we keep everything in perspective, and we believe that, the most disappointing thing for me on Saturday was the level of the performance in the first half, rather than the result ultimately became disappointing. But I asked for a reaction at half time, and I asked for a performance that showed they believed they could win the game. And to be fair, they gave us that until the 80th minute. And unfortunately, we got rocked by the 2 goals. So look, there's a lot of strength and character within the squad. So we want to make amends for losing the game on Saturday. And what better chance to do that than play a team that's unbeaten this season?
Under the lights as well with the TV. I mean, you're getting a habit of beating these teams that are unbeaten.
Well, hopefully it's a habit we maintain. Yeah, we look forward to the game. It will be. Hope it's great atmosphere again. I think the team have really enjoyed playing at home this season, and hopefully, I'd say that helps us again tomorrow night.
And finally, from me, we had illness and injuries. What's the update on the injuries and illness after the weekend?
Still illness. Alfie Doughty has been in the building today, but we just got to see how he is. I think he's probably a long shot. He was quite ill. Leo Ostergaard was sent home from training today with illness. Fox is still injured. Seamus still injured. But everyone else is fine, I think. So we just hope that the illness that we've had, doesn't spread any further. We've obviously lost a couple of players in recent games because of that, or their availability because of that. But other than that, I think we're doing okay.
And is Tyrese playing for the under-23s?
No, he won't be involved. Tyrese will be in the matchday squad in terms of the 20-man squad that we name for the game tomorrow night.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
You go into the game and you're looking to maintain that consistency. Set back on Saturday, but I'm sure you look at Bournemouth and as they are among the early pace setters, and that's not a surprise, particularly as they were among the front runners last season.
Look, we knew Bournemouth would, be strong again this season. They'll be disappointed they didn't go up last season, and when you get that scenario, it's almost like a 4th relegated team. They didn't lose really any of their squad, and I think they made some very good signings, and likes of Ryan Christie, for example, I think will prove to be a very good signing for them. They've just signed Robbie Brady as well, Gary Cahill, so they've added strength to the squad that they had last season. So yeah, it'll be a tough game, there's no doubt about that, but these are the games. You have to play tough games in this league, and we get the opportunity after a disappointing end to the game on Saturday to make amends. And as I say, we play a team that's unbeaten. They've only won 2 more games than us. We've won 6 out of 12. They've won 8. Obviously, they've had 4 draws. So it's not like they're winning games easily all the time. The nature of the championship is that you have to stay in games and win difficult games, and that'll be the case again tomorrow night.
You see any change in the way they were last season to this, or is it very similar? They've added those new signings which you've just touched on, but you see any difference in the way they lineup, Michael?
Not particularly. I think consistent Scott likes to play 4-3-3. There might be little variations on that in terms of personnel, but that's what we're expecting tomorrow night. And that's what we've prepared for. They're consistent. They're obviously unbeaten, so I don't imagine they'll change dramatically anything tactically to come and play us. Nor should we change anything dramatically to deal with them. We have to believe in ourselves and believe that we can obviously deal with this level of game, which we do.
The goals for column, Michael, is 18 and 13 against. Are you disappointed the fact the ratio of chances you've created, you haven't got more goals?
A little bit. I think we could have been higher than that. Certainly with the chances we've created this season, but we just got to continue to work at it. The key thing is that teams creating loads of chances, and if there is something that we continually, the message we continually send to the players is that we do need to be more clinical, particularly in games like tomorrow night. We saw opportunities pass us by against West Bromwich Albion, but we showed great character to eventually win the game. And again, that's what we'll need, because again, we'll have to defend. There's no doubt in the game tomorrow night we'll be put under pressure. But when the opportunities come our way, obviously we hope to take them.
Defensively, Michael, obviously, as you say, you're not too critical, but is the inexperience from time to time with such a young defence, is that possibly proving costly?
Yeah, I think we look at the goals that we've lost, and I'm not sure of the exact number of clean sheets we have at this minute in time, but certainly the goals we lost Saturday were disappointing. I think we did show a little bit of inexperience there. We overcommitted on the first one. But second goal, really, I don't think you can put that down to inexperience. I just think we did things poorly on the second goal defensively. So we have a number of players that, this is still maybe their second season in the Championship, playing week in, week out. So there is a learning curve there for them, but they're learning on the job, and I think they're doing a very good job at it.
The initiative, as you say, a team against Bournemouth, unbeaten so far, that's the driving force for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we're going to play. We've had tough games in recent weeks. Obviously, Sheffield United, West Brom, and now you're right to say Bournemouth. So we're dealing with the teams that everyone expects to be at the top end of the league. The key is that we're playing them, and we're in a position to challenge them. That's a nice position for us to be in. And we don't want to lose ground on them either. So it's important that, if possible, we can take 3 points tomorrow night.